Hello and welcome back to my channel. The secret meeting that stole Igbo homes. What they never told us about the Abandoned Property Act. Abandoned Property Act. They said what the war was over. They said no victor, no vanquished. But they lied. They lied. Because long after the guns went silent, that is after the war, a quiet war began. A war not fought with bullets, but with pens, biros, with stamps and silence. This is the story of how a secret meeting in Port Harcourt took away thousands of Igbo homes, and how Nigerians has refused to make things right. Stay tuned. The year was 1975. The Biafran War had ended. 5 years earlier, our people, the Igbo, were still trying to recover. Some have fled their homes during the war. Others were displaced by bombing, hunger, or fear of being killed. But after the war, they believed they could return and start again. They were wrong. In Port Harcourt, inside a quiet room in the River State Government House, a meeting happened. This particular meeting has no press, just a group of powerful men. Powerful men. Navy Commander Alfred Diet Spiff, the military governor of the state at the time, sat at the head of the table. With him were a judge, a colonel, a federal minister, property official, and even a Yoruba lawyer from Lagos. Their plan: to take over Igbo-owned properties in Port Harcourt and beyond, to legally declare those houses, lands, and shops abandoned, and to share them among political allies, military officers, and locals. They knew it would destroy Igbo families. They knew it will hurt many, but they called it protection. These properties are abandoned. The Easterners cannot simply come back and reclaim what is ours, according to Diet Spiff. So according to him, they said, then we must codify what abandon means. The term abandon, it has to be codified because they want to commit evil. This according to Justice Ephraim Apata. This can be defended in courts if we issue it as a military edict, not through a legislation. This according to the Yoruba lawyer among them. Now, what about the federal government? Colonel Ukpo asked. Colonel Ukpo was among them. What about the federal government? He asked. The North will not object. Lagos may have reservations, but if the East stays quiet, it will pass. That is according to Dr. Okoy Arepo. Prepare the draft edict. No public announcements. Implementations only. This according to Diet Spiff. Whether it's Diet Spiff or Diet Spiff. The Abandoned Property Act was born. Edict number 5 of 1976. It created a custodian board whose job was to seize Igbo property, mark it abandoned, and reallocate it. No one need to prove anything. If an Igbo man didn't return fast enough after the war, their home was simply taken. From Diobu to D Lane, From Oroworukwo to GRA, Igbo families came back to find strangers in their houses. I returned after the war expecting to rebuild. Instead, my family's 3-story home was occupied by a civil servant. We were told the property was abandoned and given away. We fought for years in court but lost every time. This according to one Chief Nnamdi Okeke. My late husband's shop in Balogun Market was reassigned while I was fleeing the war. I had no legal documents to prove ownership. They said I abandoned it. It was heartbreaking to see strangers in our place. This according to Mrs. Ifeoma Chukwu. In Lagos, I was denied my housing allocation because my name was removed from lease. I was told the government had reallocated the property for security reasons. We lived as second-class citizens in our own country. This according to one Mr. Emeka Nwosu. These were not isolated cases. It was a system, a legal strategy to reduce Igbo economic power, to erase us quietly from cities we help build. Let's break this down. This was not just about buildings. This was about power, dignity, and memory. When you remove people from their homes and call it legal, that's not unity. That's oppression by law. It wasn't just Rivers State. The federal government kept quiet. Why? Because they had already frozen Igbo bank accounts. They gave 20 pounds to the Biafrans, no matter how much money they had before the war. The goal was to weaken the Igbo economically. This was the Second War. And it was won with a signature, not a bullet. Yet they talk about the 3 R's, reconciliation, whatsoever. Today, many young people don't know the story. Many think it's just history, but the effects are still here. Look around, many Igbo descendants still cannot reclaim family homes. Some lost inheritance. Others live in shame and silence. And yet, Nigeria wants us to move on. In South Africa, after apartheid, there was a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. In Rwanda, after genocide, they sought justice and forgiveness together. In Germany, Jews received reparations. But Nigeria never said sorry. Nigeria never paid back. We are not telling this story to divide Nigeria. We are telling it because unity built in silence is not real. Justice is not revenge. It is healing. It is truth. And to the federal government, to Rivers State, to Nigeria, we remember. And we demand history to be told as it happened. Reparations may not bring back what was stolen, but truth can restore dignity. This is IGBO AREA TV. If you believe this story matters, share it, speak it, stand for truth, because unity without justice is a lie.